Greetings. I'm Sami Laakso from Snowdale Design, and I welcome you to the Gamefound campaign recap and celebration stream for Peacemakers Horrors of War. So during this stream, we are going to go through the campaign, our updates, what we did briefly during the campaign, see if we are if we are able to hit 100,000 during the live stream. We'll see. It's going to be really close, and I will showcase the different scenarios a little bit more in detail as I have them. Have the game here on the table. I will be able to go through the scenarios and showcase basically the whole game, different scenarios, different aspects of it, all of that during this stream. And as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them down in the comments, and I will try my best to answer them during the stream. And first, I want to share the brief timetable, like new schedule we are going to have. As you may have noticed during the campaign, we posted a new project update roughly every 2 days to keep people informed and tell about more of the different aspects of the game. But going forward, we are going to move to a monthly update schedule where we are going to keep you updated with the current progress of the game once every month. We don't have a solid specific date we are going to do that, but roughly once a month we are going to share details on how the project is going on. And the release is planned for next summer, roughly June, July, and we are going to hopefully hit that maybe even sooner. The biggest bottleneck right now is that we need to develop and polish and draw all the rest of the scenarios, including their illustrations and so on. Welcome to the stream, Ville. Yes, his music is a little loud. I tune it just slightly lower. Should be better now, hopefully. And after we are finished with all our stuff, we are going to send all the files to the printer, and they will then produce a so-called PPC, which is pre-production copy. And it will have all the components of the final game, but it will be digitally printed, which means that it's instead of 4-color printing, which has 4 plates, so all the paper matter goes through the printer, and one by one they will add CMYK colors to that. It will be digitally printed because then you can make adjustments more easily. And with all the final other components, then we take a good look at that PPC, which will actually be really close to what we have already here. This is a prototype copy we made with the factory ahead of time for all the previews and video coverage, so you can have as accurate of a view of what you will get if you back the project or pre-order the game later on late pledge or on our website. So we wanted to already move ahead with the factory to make sure that you get the most accurate picture of what you would get. Let's change this. So we're currently going through the project schedule, and once we approve everything in the PPC, then we can move onward, and we are the factory will produce all the components. They don't pack them to the games yet, but they will produce all the components. And once they have done that, they will combine one copy from those and ship it to us. And that's called MPC, so that's mass production copy. And once we approve all of those, we can still make changes, but hopefully we don't need to reprint anything, because that would be what increase the costs and delay, create delays. So hopefully it will only be at that point feedback about how to pack the components in the game, because that's something we can make without change without delays. And once we approve that, the manufacturing process begins, and once everything is complete, they will be packed and shipped to different hubs around the world with ships, large container ships, and then after they arrive to the different fulfillment centers, they will be forward shipped to you, all backers. And we will give more details about the whole process and be transparent about the progress in the following project updates on Gamefound. I think that should be enough of the project schedule, and we can start going through the different the campaign and the different updates. So for this, we can briefly go through the game, the page. We already did this once in our opening stream, so not going to go into too much detail. But you can find all of this on the page itself. But today I would like to more concentrate on the updates, and as for those, we can start from the first one once we went live, and it's the stream schedule and upcoming question and answer. We don't need to go through that. Campaign funded. Next one, we introduce the adventures. So we and their different strengths. So it's one of the big changes we made for the game, is that the different adventures are actually different from each other. So with the resource cards, there's special abilities, or more like the scheme, the written ability of the card is more powerful if you are given adventure. So for that, I can also show some examples. So with the resource deck, all cards, let's see here some good example. The hurry up gives nearby armies next order +4 speed, but if you are playing Tambatro, the Goldus Day Gecko, you will give them a 6 speed, so it's more guaranteed that your chosen army gets to go first. Another good example, let's see. Well, it's from the same adventure, but it's really straightforward to understand, even if you don't know the details or too many details of the game. So with this one, you can remove 2 damage or up to 4 damage if you're playing the Gecko from a nearby unit. So all cards in the resource deck have more powerful, more potent use if you're playing with a specific adventure. So this time around, all of them are really unique compared to each other. And here's some descriptions of what kind of abilities they have, what makes them different from each other. And a link also to the question and answer stream, where I answered a plethora of questions people had about the game and the campaign. And then we introduce the first scenario. And with this, it's well, a border skirmish between macaws and ocelots. And here you can see the first scenario setup. So this is a little bit like a tutorial scenario, but it's all still really fun to play, especially when you're learning the game for the first time, because there are many moving parts, and it can be punishing to learn the game if you start with some of the later, more challenging scenarios. So this is a really good place to start and play for the first time, or introduce the game to new people. So definitely a great way to have your first delve into the game with this one. And it features the macaws and the ocelots. And here's one of the illustrations from the rulebook. I can show you some. So I have some prototype map books. I will need to use those when we get to the later scenarios, because this prototype has only 2 scenarios in it, and the rest I have printed and done later. The game also comes with this welcome letter. Well, actually, I can talk more about that in a later update, because I will highlight that as well. Some extra cards I have, but here's the map books and the first scenario here. Also, this one has more these purple like tooltips, and they explain what the various terrain types do. Like, for example, rivers have water, which prevents the placement of fortifications. So these are also in the rulebook, but you can find reminders of what different stuff do in the first scenario. It's nice when you are just getting used to the game and learning it. And every scenario has its own cards. So, for example, for first scenario, you just take all of these and separate them by card pack shuffle, and you're good to go. So it features the ocelots and the macaws right here. Welcome to the stream, Bartek. They're asking, was the campaign successful enough for you to plan an expansion, or do you need to wait for how the game is received later and how it sells? It's been successful, not quite as successful as Lands of Galzur, but that was to be expected, simply because the game is more niche. It's it's way more weird than our previous story-driven narrative game adventure. So we're happy with the reception, but we need to see how well it is received in retail after the campaign as well. But currently we have plans to expand on Lands of Galzur next, and perhaps some Dale of Merchant stuff too. So even if we do create new stuff for Peacemakers, it's not going to be the next project in line, as we try to juggle between our release, like our series. And question is, what's next project? Culture expansion, next Peacemakers, Dale of Merchants, something new. So we have plans for all of that, and the order is still a little bit up in the air, but we're most likely going to delve back into Galzur for the expansion for that. But this is not an official announcement. We can do that later through other channels, like our website, email newsletter, or Gamefound update or something similar. But it's most likely going to be new Lands of Galzur expansion. Let's see if I can adjust the light just a little bit less harsh. Not that much better, but good enough. Will Case is saying Peacemakers needs more inside reputation to back it up. For example, everyone who played it have loved it during events. Yeah, it's a game that is so hard to explain to people, or not even that hard to explain, but for people to feel attachment to like, oh, I want that, I want to try that. It's a bit hard because it's so unconventional. Like, it's easy to say this is a massive story-driven adventure game. Do you want to try it out? Like, people know what to expect. But with Peacemakers, people don't know what to expect, really, because it's so unconventional. Oh yes, I wanted to highlight the illustrations we have for each scenario. So here's, for example, the spread from the rulebook for the first scenario, which has story text, it has dialogue for the adventures, and we also have a nice illustration of the scenario. Like, you get even better view of what's going on. Here's the second one. It's a teaser. Yes, so that was that update. The next one is introducing the map books, and this is one of the huge changes, huge updates we made for Peacemakers compared to Dawn of Peacemakers. So Horrors of War has these two map books that I have already shown that make setup of the game extremely fast and easy. As I have actually recently been playing Dawn of Peacemakers as well to see how this compares and stuff, and the setup for that one definitely takes way more time than this one. And so you just open them on the correct spreads, and you have the map set up. You have these ones like unit cards that are not cards, they're just portraits here. They are done. You have clean places where you put your cards, like shown before in the first scenario. All scenarios, you simply take the cards from the correct slot, you shuffle, and you place them on their corresponding place on the map book. So it's super fast and easy to put everything ready, and all the position of the units are marked here under them and on the map books as well. So this makes setup and teardown both extremely fast and effortless. Kind of like a broken record saying that again and again, but it's really a big change in this compared to the previous one or any other game where you have to create a scenario with tiles or something like that. And yet there's also a gameplay video featuring guest, our regular guest, Sir Tekos. The next project update we made is for scenario 2, and I already have it laid down on the table a little. So the second scenario features spectacled bears who are attacking the macaws, who were the aggressor in the first scenario, and the spectacled bears have also hired 2 other pirates on their side, and they have their own deck, which will be one card every turn. It will also be used to reveal what they will do on their turn. So instead of 4 decks, there's actually 5. Welcome to the stream, Sir Tekos. I wasn't sure if you were there, but yes, you are. So this is really quite a big twist or big change from the first scenario already. It also features some new resource cards, so different scenarios will not only have the cards for the different armies, like here's for the bears, for the macaws, and also for the Tuatara pirates, but multiple scenarios will also have scenario-specific both resource and horror cards that will be added to your deck, and they will give you special abilities that you can do only in that scenario. It's something people also wanted from the original game, was that they want changes to their own resource deck, so it's not always the same. So it's going to be mostly the similar cards from scenario to scenario, but you will have different situations where you can use the same cards in different ways, but you also have scenario-specific new cards that give you extra abilities. For example, this set sail in the second scenario will let you move from an anchor space to the other anchor space. In this case, from the harbor here to the Tuatara pirates. So if you don't want to use any special abilities or schemes, in order to look at and manipulate what the Tuatara pirates are doing, you have to go to their space, and the only way to do that is by using a set sail card. So you need to think and consider carefully when you want to pay them a visit, as you also need another set sail card to get back from there. Will is saying that Tuatara is really good cannoneer at scenario 2, or need to train him before the release. You can see our gameplay on our channel where I played the scenario 2 with a challenge with guesses, and the challenge was making Tuatara pirates a little bit more lethal, and I think guesses did not make that any easier. That's the scenario number 2. Let's see what was our next update. And here's we are showcasing the wooden figures and their bases, which is also a new feature, not only in Peacemakers Horse of War, but also in pretty much any board game we know. We have the adventure figures here are more like what's more standard, in that they are simply wooden figures with dual-sided printing, silk screen printing, but all the army figures here share this extra piece at the bottom of them, which is designed to fit these 3 different shapes, which we call insignia bases. But these ones are made from soft plastic, so they squish if you if you give them a little bit of pressure. And what they are designed for is that you can take the armor figure and just push it in, and now you have a base for that meeple. And we have 3 different shapes because they are used to differentiate which group the unit belongs to. So for example, even though both of these are Ocelot archers, they are now in different groups. This is in a circle group and this is in a star group. And there are various effects which affect them in different ways. Thanks for joining the stream, Sir Tekos, and have a nice evening. And these were something Sir Tekos also enjoyed quite a lot, and he made his opinion loud and clear in his preview that you can find from his channel. but he thought about the new insignia bases for the meeples. And let's check out what else did we have here. I made 2 drawing streams as well, where you can find me drawing 2 different cards, 2 different horror cards for the game. So for example here I'm drawing one of the horror cards which features Akesan, the fennec fox, and he's hoarding stuff. And we got great input from viewers on what items should be put and other interesting things. And here's the pretty finalized version of that. But you can check that out if you want. 31 minutes remaining on Gamefound. Next up, we have the scenario number 3, toucans, bears, and falling rocks, and that one features the first new faction that we are not share. Oh, well, 2 others were also new, and they were not in the original Dawn of Peacemakers, but toucans are like 2 others are only in 1 scenario here, and they have just 1 deck. They're like a little bit a minor faction in that way, but they do have big impact in scenario number 2. But toucans are also a new new faction that's featured in scenario number 3, and this is about a hill, or not a hill but a mountain, and the bears have a temple at the top of that mountain which they are protecting, and toucans are pushing now word is escaping my mind. They're a barrier, no. Well, a machine that you can destroy like walls and doors and doorways and stuff like that. Now, welcome to stream, Smien, asking me to feed the cat. Kenji has been fed just prior the stream. He's just now saying that he's bored and he would like to play. As for these scenarios, they are not on this nicely printed prototype from the factory anymore, as we did not have them quite ready for that, but I can still show them with my a bit uglier prototype that I have made with my home printer. These are also made before we had the full color illustrations, which are still work in progress. So these are just with prototype art, and please don't pay too much attention to that. Here's the scenario number 3, just a little bit closer view. So the toucans start over here, but the swoopers are up here, and the ones here are moving through the path up and trying to get to the temple. And I'm not going to spoil any of the cards and interesting things that are in the scenarios that you get to explore yourself. So I'm just telling you stuff that you'll know if you play the scenario, even before you play the scenario, from the rules and stuff. Welcome to stream, Lattentreffer, saying that I love Galsu so much and I'm already hyped for Peacemakers. Glad to hear that. There's an extra lose condition in this scenario. If the champion Ubidaya gets from here all the way up here to the mountain, you will lose, as then they will destroy the temple and bears will lose, so you will lose the scenario. So there's an extra lose condition in this scenario if you let the champion Ubidaya get all the way up the mountain path. And there's also a new thing or like rule or attribute for the new feature with the toucans. So the bears are kind of normal, but the toucans have some of their order cards feature locks on them. Most do not, but there are few that have locks on them, and those you cannot survey. So your most common way to see new information, what's coming up, is to use your resource cards for the survey action, which is this eye up here. And with that, you can, if you are in a space with a given army, you can flip over a card and you will see what they are going to do next round or this round. But with toucans, if they have this secret card on top, you can't look at it. The final one will have also an eye symbol, so this survey icon here crossed over on the card as a reminder that you can't survey, and a little bit different color scheme, but this is just prototype art again, so these ones you can't survey. If it's somewhere else in the deck, now you can survey this half, but you can't survey this one. So sometimes the toucans are secretive and you are going to have a hard time knowing what their plans are. That's a feature of the toucans. And Kesis is saying some bad dad jokes that I'm hesitant to say myself, so you can just read it in the chat if you want some dad jokes. Let's see some more. Yeah, we have a picture. Oh, it's like siege engine. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for before. So the toucans are through the narrow path up the mountains, and they have this siege engine that they are pushing through. So they can fly. They have a unit with the group with units that can fly and attack the temples, but they have the heavy siege engine which they can't fly to the mountain. That's why they're taking the mountain path. And yes, that's the update about scenario number 3. Our next scenario is have some more details about the resource cards, and can take a look at that. And with it, I already explained, like, they have this special action that's more powerful with a specific adventure. But really key aspects of the design is that every action you can take as a player, as an adventurer, is by using a card from your hand. And every card also has multiple ways you can use them, so they're called multi-use cards. You might have other games that have similar stuff. And when you use a card for an action, you have to choose one of the rows of icons or the special action down here. So for example, encouraging words has 5 different options that you can take with the card. The first one is this eye symbol survey, which already discussed, that you let's get to see information about the army orders. The next one is travel, which lets you move on the battlefield. Sometimes some of the icons are also have this extra card draw icon, which simply means that if you take that icon row, you also get a new card. So you basically get a replacement card for it. The next one is Fortify action, and with this you can put fortification tokens on the map to protect units from attacks. The pointing finger is called Delegate, and if you share a space with another player, you can give a card to them. And you might want to do that because, as discussed in Tamaga, the schemes down here are more powerful if used by a specific adventure. Here's another example of resource cards. And every round you get 4 new cards total, divided between all players. So the more there are players, the fewer cards you will get yourself, but you get the same amount together, which means that the more players, the more you need to discuss together what you want to do in order to achieve your goals. Case is asking same or other card about the delegate action. Yeah, with the delegate action you can give that card to another player. So it's like the only action that doesn't use the card, but you do lose it yourself by giving it to the other player. So other actions place the card to the discard pile, and delegate gives to the other player. It's there as a reminder that so you don't need to remember what actions you can take, because everything is visually shown on the cards to you. Next update is the scenario number 4. It also has toucans, but in addition to toucans, it has iguanas and side-switching ocelots. And here's a picture of that, and I can also show it. Here is the scenario number 4. So this takes place on a desert, and as said previously, if something looks unfinished, it is unfinished, including the map, the illustrations for the units, missing card packs, and more. So toucans we already discussed. They have sometimes secrets that you can't use survey to check those. Ocelots are pretty chaotic and they have a lot of die rolling effects with them. And iguanas is a new faction for this scenario, and rumor says that sometimes they don't stay dead for one reason or another. Basically, it's how we team and mechanically use the fact that iguanas and many other lizards can detach their tail, and that way they can like fake they're dead to sometimes to the horror of the other army. Smien is really happy with the meeples, and for the ocelots, the game comes with 3 of these glass beads that you are usually used to track the motivation of the sides, but the 3rd glass bead is used in this scenario to mark which side the ocelots are. So they will start on the side of the iguanas, but during the scenario they will switch sides, perhaps even multiple times. Sometimes they're with the iguanas, sometimes they are with the toucans. You never quite know when it happens, but they will change sides, making the scenario pretty chaotic. It's probably the most chaotic one in the game, and definitely not easy. Not an easy one. Here you can see the iguanas, the toucans, the ocelots, and the adventurers are in the middle before splitting up. And some of the order cards for toucans have the lock again. Another thing in this scenario is that, let's see, where do I have those? Scenario number 4. if I have them here. So the final game, you will be able to fit all the cards in the insert, even sleeved. But this one, we make some adjustments to make that possible. But this one, I can't fit quite all of them, especially because in my prototypes, here, I have not only sleeves, but I also have printed cards in those sleeves with an actual card, so they are a lot thicker than the like a single sleeved card. Sometimes I have printed card on both sides, but sometimes just one side, but it's not thick on itself. But when you have tens and tens or hundreds of cards with paper, it actually increases their thickness and then they don't fit here anymore. But this scenario, as said before, some of these have extra resource cards to get added into a deck. This has 3, and it's 1 per leader. We have the Shaman Shuamu, Captain Voshira, and Champion Yatira. And we have one resource card for each of these leaders. And you can see that they have extremely good icon rows. So survey and the card draw, 3 boots and a card draw, 2 fortification and a card draw. So these are like extremely good numbers and values, but they have a really powerful effect down here too. But for that, you need to be on the same space as the leader. So either you go there by yourself, or you try to use other effects to delegate the cards to those who are closer to them. So the scenario is really hard, and this is one way for us to balance that. There's actually 6 decks that you need to survey and see what's going on, and you do not have enough resources to do that too often. So these together will make that a little bit easier for you to do. Yeah, those are here. Guess is saying that chaotic is called Tuesday at Ocelotland. And here's a video where I compare Dawn of Peacemakers to Peacemakers Horrors of War. You can also find that down on this very channel if you want to check that out. I go through a lot of different details that are different between these. Here's we are sharing more information about the namesake of the game, Horrors of War, and those are also a new feature that did not exist in the original Dawn of Peacemakers, and those it's a whole new deck. So we have scenario specific decks, 6 slots for those. Let's see if I can show here. We have, and there goes one bear. We have 6 slots for scenarios, and then we have horror deck and the resource deck. So this one here is the horror deck, and whenever a unit gets defeated, so let's say that we have an Ocelot Archer, for example, who's like here, and they get enough damage that they get defeated, we have to remove them from the map and put down here where we have spots, reserved spots for defeated army units. Their motivation lowers by 1, which is usually a good thing, but you also add 1 of these horror cards on top of your resource deck. So it will eat 1 of your card draws, 1 of your very critical card draws, and in addition to being taking away a card draw, it has some nasty effects on it. Let's see some examples. Don't want to spoil too much because these are one of the really fun things to find out by yourself. But for example, here, so first we see the priority on the top left. So depending on what adventures are playing, so if you're playing with, so for example, red and yellow, you can see that this card will affect the red player. So the first one from the top who's in play. And that player will suffer the consequences of this one. And in this case, we would roll the die and they would move 2 spaces in the shown random direction. They get a little bit of a panic attack of sorts. Or sometimes they can be also what we call ongoing. So they will stay in play for a little while. Like this mental block says that you can take at most 2 actions during each adventure phase. And you discard if you take no actions at all. So some of these are like debuffs that will stay in play until they get resolved. Or sometimes they are just single use, they do something and then they go away. And I can give you... I can show you an example from the horror promo pack. So if you get Peacemakers Horse of War during this crowdfunding campaign, you will get a promo pack of 10 extra horrors for free. And later, it's not a Gamefound or crowdfunding exclusive. You can get it later as well for increase just a little cost, like probably €5, but now we are showing it for free for those who support us during the crowdfunding campaign. And the other horrors will have the priority list as shown earlier over here, but the horrors from the promo pack do not feature that at all, so you see that they don't have the priority list on them. And here's one of, because they will affect everyone equally. Like for example, Echoing Fears, you have to roll the die when this is drawn. And if you roll 1 through 8, you have to simply place this card back on top of the resource deck. So it will keep coming back and back again, and every time it eats a card draw. But if you roll 9 through 12, you can discard it. And the thing about horror cards is that if you get to discard them, they go to your resource deck discard pile. So you only get rid of horror cards when you play a new scenario or replay the current one. But until the end of current game, the horror cards are there to stay in your resource deck. So that's why you really want to try to avoid getting too many units killed, as it can quite fast spiral out of control for you. We have less than 10 minutes remaining, and we have we're probably not going to hit 100,000, but we're really close. So that's the Horrors of War. And our next update was Design Diary. And this one is quite a short update, but we basically inform everyone that we have made a design diary on BoardGameGeek. And I also go through the design diary and show examples and stuff on a stream that you can also check if you want. Here's the design diary. It has plenty of nice photos and some behind the scenes, like how we plant the meeples and their bases, what they insert, what process did they insert go, what rules we change, why we change them, and stuff. If you find this sort of thing interesting, you can find a link to that from this update or under Peacemakers also for on BoardGameGeek. And the next one after that was scenarios 5 and 6. So with these two, we combined in a single update because they are still the most incomplete. As we are mostly making, developing, playtesting, polishing, drawing illustrations for the scenarios one by one from 1 to 6. So 5 and 6 are the most in progress. So even the photo here doesn't show any art in it. But I can show a preliminary map for that now. It's still very much work in progress, and we need to do a lot more playtesting and developing to make it work as we want. But it's going to be other scenarios. So far, the units are quite organized, and they like kind of know what they're doing and where they want to go and stuff. But this one, I didn't print yet where the units will start because we are still working a little bit on that. But you can see a little bit here, like there's frogs everywhere, there's iguanas everywhere, and they're like a little bit like surrounded by the frogs. And there's two rivers, or one river that splits and then it combines again afterwards. So there's like a little island in the middle where the iguanas are, and the frogs are all around them. And the strawberry poison frogs, maybe my favorite meeple in the game, simply because they're so cute. They are everywhere. They are the most numerous out of all the different factions as well. So we have 6 of those around everywhere. You can see here what the fun, six of those, just a horde of frogs compared to just 4 iguanas. And the strawberry poison frogs, as their name might suggest, they have venoms, or they have poison, and they use that during the scenario. You can barely see, but they have only 2 offense, which other factions have. Almost everyone has 3, is like the baseline. So frogs are less threatening in that way, but they do have their poison, which you will find out how that works when you play the scenario yourself from their order decks. And the figures also on this one will be pointing in many different directions. They're moving in kind of randomly or chaotically, as the iguanas are like lost in the jungle and the frogs are ambushing them from everywhere. And this also features some scenario-specific resource cards. I have not printed those out yet, but it will be you can use the like the jungle to make units a little bit like disoriented and afraid, and the card will make everyone on your space to consider all other units, no matter what faction they belong, as enemies, and that can play a big role on how you what you do in this scenario. It's pretty wild. Okay, saying iguanas saying we are surrounded. Good, now we can attack anywhere. All right. 3 minutes. 3 minutes remaining on the campaign. That was the scenario number 5, and for 6 we don't have picture here, and I have not printed out that yet. But scenario number 6 will feature the frogs and the macaws, and there's going to be a central tent in the middle of the map, and there's also going to be a 5th deck here in the middle, and they're trying to negotiate peace as they're warring, the frogs and the macaws, and the middle deck is like a pile of problems that need to be solved before the peace can be achieved. And you can go and survey that and manipulate that as well. So it's another scenario with 5 decks to play around. And also the units will move around in a circle around the tent in the middle. So it's also pretty wild and different compared to the other scenarios in that regard. And again, the frogs have their poisonous stuff in both scenarios. So that's scenarios 5 and 6. We don't have too many updates remaining, just 2. Not going to speedrun them, but we can almost make them before the campaign ends. But here's the custom insert, and for that we have this welcoming letter that I showed quickly before. So this will be packed like such on top of everything else when you get the game. So it will warn you to not read some of the cards ahead of time, as it's more fun to discover them for yourself while you play. And on the other side, it showcases all the different components and places you can put them in the insert. So you never need to guess where stuff goes. It's really easy to refer to this one. But after you put them in the correct places for the first time, it's really easy to keep them in the correct places, because we have these printed labels on the box and they're on both sides, so you can see they're here as well for the units as well as for the scenarios and cards. So it's really easy to put them in the correct places, but just to make it double easier, we include this one so you can even see them for the first time over here. And that's basically the insert, and we are also the campaign ends now. So the campaign has ended, and let's see, we can also check it over here. Let's hide that one away. So we got 1,459 backers, and we have also this funny little thing. Thank you everyone who joined the campaign, made it possible for us to make these weird, unconventional games for you. It's always fun but exhausting time to run these campaigns, and also a little bit like nerve-wracking. But it's fun to see people wanting these weird games we like to make. Many hearts in the chat and celebrations. So we still have just a few updates to go through. The insert with all places for everything. There's also this nice way we figured out for the adventure meeples. Like you can see that they are flush on there, but you can easily get them away by pushing them on the side like this, or on the top, and then just pick it up, because they have higher raised part in the middle. So it's easy to get all of them away from the insert by pushing and taking it that way. So it looks nice and flush, but they're still really easy to pick up from the insert. Thank you for the congratulations, Kesis, Bartek, Smien, Bartek again, and Lajani. Thank you everyone for the congratulations, and I think the confetti is getting distracting enough that we can remove it. We still have at least one good to go. Here's also a link to the whole gameplay with me and Kesis. And the last, well, it's actually not last last update, because, well, we posted or will post a new one, celebrate our final or our funding. So this last 24 hours update was a little bit like a recap as well, kind of like this stream we are having right now. It lists all the different scenarios that you can read more in the different updates, which we already did. It has all the other updates as well, and the design diary, and also some links to gameplay videos, previews from people, from content creators. You can find a comprehensive list on our website and the campaign page, but we wanted to highlight a few of those for people who might have missed them and still were on the fence if they want to back the game or not. And let's see if we already have. Here's our final update for now. As said before, we are going to release one new update once a month from now on, and a new addition to these updates is also these progress bars that we will include in all our future project updates, so you have more solid idea where we are in the process. So, for example, here you can see that our design and development is roughly at 75%. So all the base rules are done. The core of the game is really good. We like it a lot, the base resource cards and such. And now it's about mostly creating and polishing the scenarios number 5 and 6. And then playtesting all the scenarios even more, polishing them even more, so we can iron out all the kinks that we can find. We need to finish all the artwork for the map books, for including the scenario maps and the unit portraits. We need to finish up a plenty of horror cards, and what else do we need to draw? Some of the rulebook illustrations for the scenarios are similar to this one for scenario 1 and 2, so we need to draw those. Some of the props, like I'd like to add some extra thematic flavor here on the rulebook. Some of those we need to still draw. Yeah, biggest thing is the map book drawings and the horrors, as we want to have a unique illustration for all the different horror cards. Casey says that maybe from time to time some drawing streams and maybe Jesus video about drawing. Yes, I will do more drawing streams, and we will see if Jesus, who's the author illustrator, who's drawing many of the things for the game with me, maybe he can record some of his drawings in a way that I can make a speed video on YouTube. We'll see if he can manage to do this. It's nice to do, but I don't want to slow him down by asking him too much other than just drawing the thing. We have manufacturing preparation, which is pretty much almost done. We have just few last things, like we are waiting to receive a new sample of the insert. And other components like the spiral bound books with linen finish and stuff like that. But as you can see, most of that has already been done, and it's now up to us to complete the rest of the design, the illustrations and stuff, and then the factory is pretty much ready to start printing the games. Manufacturing is 0 because, well, it can only start once everything else is ready. Fulfillment preparation is at 50%, like we have been talking with the fulfillment warehouses that we already use for our online store and for our other crowdfunding campaigns, so that's in good progress as well. And then we finally have shipping, which will only start once the warehouses receive the games from... Well, the shipping includes both freight shipping from the factory to the warehouses and then from warehouses to you. And that obviously can only start once manufacturing is complete. And there's a plug for the community Discord server, so if you are not part of that yet, you can find link to that down in the video description, where I will also host some playtests and demo playthroughs in the future as well. And that's pretty much it. If you don't have any additional questions, I believe we can start wrapping this stream up. It was nice to host these streams for you during the campaign, and I thank everyone who backed the game. I thank everyone who joined the streams. It's always more fun to stream when there are people watching and asking questions. And we'll definitely do at least drawing streams, maybe even gameplay streams of the other scenarios as well, because now you can find scenario number 1 and 2, so 2 gameplay streams on this channel, and let's see if we can make gameplay videos of the remaining scenarios as well. Then you can get an even better idea what to expect if you want to get the game or not. As now the campaign has ended and there's a short period before we can open the Pledge Manager, but once that happens, you can get the game on Pledge Manager, and later you can pre-order or order the game from our online store and selected retailers as well. So if you want to join some of those future drawing streams, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, you can also ask them in the comments, and I will reply to those later when I get the chance. I thank you for your time and for joining the stream, and hope you will enjoy playing Peacemakers Horrors of War next summer when you get the chance and we have completed and shipped the game to you. Thank you everyone, and have a nice rest of your day and week. Thank you. Bye.